My name is Alexa Hansen Wagner, and this is a presentation on the high rates of adult depression in Utah. To look at why the rates of adult depression are so high in Utah, we first need to understand what clinical depression is. As said by Singh Punitpal and Sarabjit Mastana, editors of the book Depression, A Silent Culprit in Health and Disease, depression is a mental illness. It can often be identified by many symptoms such as fatigue, sadness, self-limiting attitude, neglect, disability, and guilt. It can also be caused by life events such as loss of a loved one, childhood neglect, changes in a job, or the like. It can also be caused by other illnesses. For example, it is very common among people who struggle with multiple sclerosis, cancer, or have experienced a stroke. As reported by the Public Health Indicator-Based Information System, or IBIS, in 2016, 18.3% of adults in the United States were diagnosed with depression by a doctor, and in 2017, 19.3% of adults self-reported that they had lifetime depression. This compares to Utah, where 22.5% of adults reported lifetime depression. If we also look at the differences in genders, only 16.1% of men were diagnosed with depression by a doctor, while 29% of women were diagnosed with depression. This clearly shows that the average rate for depression in Utah is higher than the national average. The graph on the right, provided by Center of Disease Control, shows a steady increase in suicide rates in ages 22 to 49. From the years 1999 to 2015, the graph shows that there were 19 suicides per 100,000 people, and then in 2015 there were 29 suicides per 100,000 people. That might sound like a small number, but if you do the math, that comes to more than 2 suicides per month per 100,000 people. So what is causing this increasing rates of suicide? When looking at the causes of adult depression in the state of Utah, 2 possible causes stand out. They are the strong presence of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and high altitude. When I conducted a study of my own, 39 people who struggle with or have struggled with depression while living in Utah participated. What I found is that 69.2% of people did at least partially blame their depression on social pressure, whether that was religious, educational, or political pressure. When asked why they think the rates for adult depression are so high in Utah, 27 of them blame the LDS Church, but only 3 people blame their depression on the LDS Church, which made the information a bit inconclusive but still left it as a possibility. When I conducted an online search, I found research by the neuroscientist Perry Renshaw. His work came to the conclusion that high altitude affects the levels of dopamine and serotonin in the brain. By changing the brain chemistry, many people can experience adult depression. To conclude, I have found that when being compared to the national average, rates of adult depression in Utah have proved to be higher. Rates of suicide have been steadily increasing, and there are a few differences in Utah's culture and environment that could explain our high rates. Whether or not they are the cause, though, it is yet to be determined.